Ever catch yourself saying, I, like just out loud,
Sure.
and then you pause for a second like, wait, who? Or what is that? I? Anyway,
Mm,
it's such a weird thing to think about.
it really is.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today, the mystery of self-consciousness.
Oh, exciting.
Like, how do we even become aware of ourselves in the first place?
Right.
And for this deep dive, we're turning to Kristina Musholt's book, Thinking About Oneself.
Great book.
So have you read it?
I have, yeah, it's a good one.
It's really good.
It's a fascinating topic.
It is. And she kicks off the book with this scenario, and see if this sounds familiar.
Okay.
Okay, so picture yourself in the grocery store, right?
Mm.
You're walking along and you realize you've been trailing this line of spilled sugar. And in your head, you're getting kind of annoyed. Like, come on, who is this messy shopper making a mess?
Right, yeah.
And you turn the corner ready to give him a piece of your mind.
Yeah.
And then bam,
Oh,
it's you. You're the one who's been leaving a sugary trail of chaos.
the worst.
Oh, I've been there.
It's like the ultimate walk of shame
It is.
in the grocery store.
And it just hits you like, how am I acting and thinking about this situation without even realizing I'm the one behind it?
It's wild, right? Like, how can we not be aware of ourselves as the doer, the I, at the center of it all?
Right. So how do we develop that ability? That ability to have self-referential thoughts, to think about ourselves as that I.
Well, the traditional approach to self-consciousness sees it as this kind of inner spotlight,
Okay.
where the I turns its attention inwards and examines itself.
So it's like, I am looking at me,
Precisely.
but that seems kind of tricky.
It does, doesn't it? Because this model, while it seems logical at first glance, it actually runs into a big problem circular logic.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about it. It's like saying you need to be self-conscious to even have the thought, I'm thinking about myself.
Whoa, okay, yeah.
Like, you need the key to unlock the box that holds the key.
That's a real head scratcher.
Yes.
So are we stuck then? Is it all just a jumble of perceptions like that philosopher David Hume suggested?
Hume was onto something with that idea, that our sense of self isn't this fixed, independent thing.
Okay,
But Musholt, she takes it a step further.
okay.
She presents a more nuanced perspective, the idea of pre-reflective self-consciousness.
Pre-reflective. Okay, break that down
Yep.
for me.
So it suggests that we can be aware of our actions and experiences before we even develop a concrete concept of I.
Hold on, I'm not sure I'm following. So even before we have a solid me in our minds, there's some kind of awareness of ourselves going on.
Exactly,
Yes,
like back
connected.
to our sugar spiller.
Okay, yeah, the grocery store.
Even before that light bulb moment of, oh, I'm the messy one, there's still some awareness there, right? Like an awareness of someone doing the action, navigating the aisles.
That's really making me rethink things.
Yeah.
So even without a fully formed I, we still experience the world in a way that's inherently linked to ourselves.
Yes.
But how? I need an example. Help me wrap my head around this. Okay, so we're acting and like experiencing the world, but that I, part of our brain is still under construction.
Yeah, like we're running on instinct, in a
Yeah.
way.
Exactly. But how does that even work? How do we function without that clear sense of me at the helm?
Okay, try this. Picture a squirrel, right? Just like darting and leaping through the trees.
Okay, got it. Squirrels, trees.
It's navigating those branches so effortlessly, right? But it's not like the squirrel is having some deep existential crisis about being a squirrel.
Right, like it's not stopping mid-leap to ponder its place in the universe.
Exactly. It just moves through the world with this inherent understanding of itself in relation to those branches. It doesn't need to think, I am squirrel, hear me roar.
I love that. I am squirrel, hear me roar.
To just, be a squirrel doing its thing.
It's like that intuitive knowing how. We've talked about this before, right?
Yeah.
Like that feeling of I just do it
Hmm.
when we're in our element, whether it's playing music or, like for that squirrel, navigating the treetops.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And Musholt's point is that on some level, our actions and perceptions, they already have this self-information baked in. It's like we have this internal compass guiding us, even before we're consciously aware of it.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we go from knowing how to knowing me? Like, how do we go from those implicit, almost subconscious experiences to actually forming this concept of ourselves as a self?
Well, here's the thing, and this is where it gets really cool. Musholt argues it's not a solo mission. Like, we don't just will ourselves into self-awareness. There's a crucial ingredient we need.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What's the secret ingredient?
Other people.
We need other people to develop a sense of self.
Yeah.
Okay, how does that work?
Think about it this way. Recognizing that other beings have minds of their own, that they have their own inner world and experiences, well, that's what allows us to differentiate ourselves, to develop our own sense of self. It's a process of me versus you that helps us solidify those boundaries.
Fascinating. So are you saying it's like a switch flips, one day we're completely oblivious, and then bam, we
Yeah.
have self-awareness?
Not quite a sudden switch. It's more like a dimmer, slowly brightening over time. And it starts incredibly early. Even babies connect with others through those early shared experiences.
Like when a baby locks eyes with their caregiver. It's
Hmm.
like this mutual gaze, this silent acknowledgement of you're a being and I'm a being.
Yes, exactly. And as we grow, those shared experiences evolve, become more complex. We start to understand that others have different perspectives, literally, like how they physically see the world, and also mentally in how they think and feel.
It's like that moment when a child realizes that just because they can't see something when they close their eyes doesn't mean it's gone for everyone else. Perspective taking.
Exactly. That's a huge step in understanding other minds, and it's in navigating those different perspectives, those differences in thoughts and feelings, that we become more aware of our own inner world.
So by recognizing the you, we start to solidify the me. It's like a mirror, in a way.
I like that, Amir. And Musholt talks about this too, about these different levels of you-ness that we progress through.
Okay, levels of you-ness. It's like we're literally leveling up our sense of self as we grow. Give me some examples. Like, how do we go from basic interactions to really understanding that other minds are going on?
Hmm.
Okay, levels of units. So we're literally leveling up our sense of self as we grow. Huh, that's kind of cool. But give me some concrete examples of these levels. Like, how do we go from basic interactions to, actually really getting that there are other minds going on out there?
Right, right. So Musholt, she lays out these key levels that anyone can relate to, even if you've never sat down and pondered the philosophy of self before. So level one, easiest one, think about babies when they imitate facial expressions.
Oh, yeah. They see you smile, they try to smile back.
Exactly. It's about matching, connecting, but not quite understanding yet.
Mimicry, but not true me comprehension going on.
Yeah. Right. Now, level two, this is where kids, they start to grasp that. Like, other people might literally see things differently
Okay.
based on where they're standing.
Like their physical perspective.
Exactly. But they still struggle with more complex stuff. Like, they don't get that someone else can believe something different than what they believe.
So like if I hide a toy behind my back, a kid at this level might think, I can't see it anymore either. Because like their own perspective is still the dominant one.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But then comes level three, and this is where things get really, really interesting. This is when kids pass what's called the false belief test.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I've heard that.
It's a big deal. They understand that someone can have a belief, and that belief can be different from reality and also different from what they believe.
So like I can understand that you believe pineapple belongs on pizza, even though I think that's like just wrong, a culinary travesty, but
Yeah.
like neither of us is right or wrong, just
Yeah.
different.
And that right there, that's huge. That understanding of false beliefs, it shows like a really sophisticated understanding of other minds is happening.
Yeah. Well,
And by extension, a deeper understanding of our own minds.
because to even get to the point where I realize your belief is false,
Yeah,
I have to have a pretty solid sense of what my beliefs are. Right?
exactly. It shows that our sense of self, it's like totally bound up with how we understand other people. It's not this one-way street at all.
This whole deep dive has honestly been like mind-blowing. We've gone from spilled sugar in the grocery store aisle to like the complexities of understanding other minds. It really makes you realize how much we just take for granted this whole self thing.
Absolutely. And it kind of pushes us to ask, like, if our sense of self comes from these interactions with others, where does that leave us? You
Yeah.
know?
Are we constantly being like molded and shaped by the people around us?
Think about it. Every interaction, every conversation, it all gives us a little more information about ourselves. We see ourselves reflected in how other people react to us, how they see us.
It's like we're holding a mirror up to the world, but the world is holding up a mirror right back to us at the same time.
Exactly. And that, honestly, that's what makes this whole journey of figuring out the self, it's what makes it so fascinating. It's not like reaching some destination. It's this dynamic, always evolving process that's shaped by like all the beautiful, messy complexity of being human, of connecting with others.
I love that. Well said. This has been an incredible deep dive for sure. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be thinking about this one for a while.
Me too, me too. And that's what we like to hear, right? Because ultimately, like the coolest, most profound discoveries, they're often the ones we make about ourselves.
So true. To all our listeners, thanks for joining us as always on this journey into the self. Until next time, keep those minds curious and remember, you are a fascinating work in progress.
Here, here.
And we'll be back soon to explore even more mind-bending ideas together.